Selections from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Part 12. The Aim of Raja Yoga. Section 2. There is only one method by which to attain this knowledge, that which is called concentration. The chemist in his laboratory concentrates all the energies of his mind into one focus and throws them upon the materials he is analyzing, and so finds out their secrets. The astronomer concentrates all the energies of his mind and projects them through his telescope upon the skies, and the stars, the sun, and the moon give up their secrets to him. The more I can concentrate my thoughts on the matter on which I am talking to you, the more light I can throw upon it. You are listening to me, and the more you concentrate your thoughts, the more clearly you will grasp what I have to say. How has all the knowledge in the world been gained but by the concentration of the powers of the mind? The world is ready to give up its secrets if we only know how to knock, how to give it the necessary blow. The strength and the force of the blow come through concentration. There is no limit to the power of the human mind. The more concentrated it is, the more power is brought to bear on one point, that is the secret. It is easy to concentrate the mind on external things. The mind naturally goes outwards, but not so in the case of religion or psychology or metaphysics, where the subject and object are one. The object is internal, the mind itself is the object, and it is necessary to steady the mind itself. Mind steadying mind. We know that there is the power of the mind called reflection. I am talking to you. At the same time, I am standing aside, as it were a second person, and knowing and hearing what I am talking. You work and think at the same time, while a portion of your mind stands by and sees what you are thinking. The powers of the mind should be concentrated and turned back upon itself, and as the darkest places reveal their secrets before the penetrating rays of the sun, so will this concentrated mind penetrate its own innermost secrets. Thus will we come to the basis of belief, the real genuine religion. We will perceive for ourselves whether we have souls, whether life is of 5 minutes or of eternity, whether there is a God in the universe or none. It will all be revealed to us. This is what Raja Yoga proposes to teach. The goal of all its teaching is how to concentrate the mind, then how to discover the innermost recesses of our own minds, then how to generalize their contents and form our own conclusions from them. It therefore never asks the question what our religion is, whether we are deist or atheist, whether Christians, Jews, or Buddhist. We are human beings, that is sufficient. Every human being has the right and the power to seek for religion. Every human being has the right to ask the reason why and to have his question answered by himself, if he only takes the trouble. So far, then, we see that in the study of this Raja Yoga, no faith or belief is necessary. Believe nothing until you find it out for yourself. That is what it teaches us. Truth requires no prop to make it stand. Do you mean to say that the facts of our awakened state require any dreams or imaginings to prove them? Certainly not. This study of Raja Yoga takes a long time and constant practice. A part of this practice is physical, but in the main it is mental. As we proceed, we shall find how intimately the mind is connected with the body. If we believe that the mind is simply a finer part of the body and that mind acts upon the body, then it stands to reason that the body must react upon the mind. If the body is sick, the mind becomes sick also. If the body is healthy, the mind remains healthy and strong. When one is angry, the mind becomes disturbed. Similarly, when the mind is disturbed, the body also becomes disturbed. With the majority of mankind, the mind is greatly under the control of the body, their mind being very little developed. The vast mass of humanity is very little removed from the animals. Not only so, but in many instances, the power of control in them is little higher than that of the lower animals. We have very little command of our minds. Therefore, to bring that command about, to get that control over body and mind, we must take certain physical helps. When the body is sufficiently controlled, we can attempt the manipulation of the mind. By manipulating the mind, we shall be able to bring it under our control, make it work as we like, and compel it to concentrate its powers as we desire. According to Raja Yoga, the external world is but the gross form of the internal or subtle. The finer is always the cause, the grosser is the effect. So, the external world is the effect, the internal the cause. In the same way, external forces are simply the grosser parts of which the internal forces are the finer. The man who has discovered and learnt how to manipulate the internal forces will get the whole of nature under his control. The yogi proposes to himself no less a task than to master the whole universe, to control the whole of nature. He wants to arrive at the point where what we call nature's laws will have no influence over him, where he will be able to get beyond them all. He will be the master of the whole of nature, internal and external. The progress and civilization of the human race simply mean controlling this nature. Different races take to different processes of controlling nature. Just as in the same society, some individuals want to control the external nature and others the internal. So, among races, some want to control the external nature and others the internal. Some say that by controlling internal nature we control everything. Others that by controlling external nature we control everything. Carried to the extreme, both are right, because in nature there is no such division as internal or external. These are fictitious limitations that never existed. The externalist and the internalist are destined to meet at the same point, when both reach the extreme of their knowledge. Just as a physicist, when he pushes his knowledge to its limits, finds it melting away into metaphysics, so a metaphysician will find that what he calls mind and matter are but apparent distinctions, the reality being one. The end and aim of all science is to find the unity, the one out of which the manifold is being manufactured, that one existing as many. Raja Yoga proposes to start from the internal world to study internal nature and through that control the world, both internal and external. It is a very old attempt. India has been its special stronghold, but it was also attempted by other nations. In Western countries, it was regarded as mysticism, and people who wanted to practice it were either burnt or killed as witches and sorcerers. In India, for various reasons, it fell into the hands of persons who destroyed 90% of the knowledge and tried to make a great secret of the remainder. In modern times, many so called teachers have arisen in the West worse than those of India because the latter knew something, while these modern exponents know nothing. Anything that is secret and mysterious in these systems of yoga should be once rejected. The best guide in life is strength. In religion, as in all other matters, discard everything that weakens you, have nothing to do with it. Mystery mongering weakens the human brain. It has well nigh destroyed yoga, one of the grandest of sciences. From the time it was discovered more than 4,000 years ago, yoga was perfectly delineated, formulated, and preached in India. It is a striking fact that the more modern the commentator, the greater the mistakes he makes, while the more ancient the writer, the more rational he is. Most of the modern writers talk of all sorts of mystery. Thus, yoga fell into the hands of a few persons who made it a secret, instead of letting the full blaze of daylight and reason fall upon it. They did so that they might have the powers to themselves. In the first place, there is no mystery in what I teach. What little I know, I will tell you. So far as I can reason it out, I will do so. But as to what I do not know, I will simply tell you what the books say. It is wrong to believe blindly. You must exercise your own reason and judgment. You must practice and see whether these things happen or not. Just as you would take up any other science, exactly in the same manner you should take up this science for study. There is neither mystery nor danger in it. So far as it is true, it ought to be preached in the public streets in broad daylight. Any attempt to mystify these things is productive of great danger. Before proceeding further, I will tell you a little of the Sankhya philosophy of this upon which the whole of Raja Yoga is based. According to the Sankhya philosophy, the genesis of perception is as follows. The affections of external objects are carried by the outer instruments to their respective brain centers or organs. The organs carry the affections to the mind to the determinative faculty. From this, the Purusha, the soul, receives them, when perception results. Next, he gives the order back, as it were, to the motor centers to do the needful. With the exception of the Purusha, all of these are material. But the mind is much finer matter than the external instruments. That material of which the mind is composed goes also to form the subtle matter called the Tanmatras. These become gross and make the external matter. That is the psychology of Sankhya. So that between the intellect and the grosser matter outside there is only a difference in degree. The Purusha is the only thing which is immaterial. The mind is an instrument, as it were, in the hands of the soul, through which the soul catches external objects. The mind is constantly changing and vacillating and can, when perfected, either attach itself to several organs, to one or to none. For instance, if I hear the clock with great attention, I will not perhaps see anything, although my eyes may be open, showing that the mind was not attached to the seeing organ while it was to the hearing organ. But the perfected mind can be attached to all the organs simultaneously. It has the reflexive power of looking back into its own depths. This reflexive power is what the yogi wants to attain by concentrating the powers of the mind and turning them inward. He seeks to know what is happening inside. There is in this no question of mere belief. It is the analysis arrived at by certain philosophers. Modern physiologists tell us that the eyes are not the organ of vision, but the organ is in one of the nerve centers of the brain, and so with all the senses. They also tell us that these centers are formed of the same material as the brain itself. The Sankhya's also tell us the same thing. The former is a statement on the physical side and the latter on the psychological side. Yet both are the same. Our field of research lies beyond this. The yogi proposes to attain that fine state of perception in which he can perceive all the different mental states. There must be mental perception of all of them. One can perceive how the sensation is traveling, how the mind is receiving it, how it is going to the determinative faculty, and how this gives it to the Purusha. As each science requires certain preparations and has its own method which must be followed before it could be understood, even so in Raja Yoga. Certain regulations as to food are necessary. We must use that food which brings us the purest mind. If you go into a menagerie, you will find this demonstrated at once. You see the elephants, huge animals but calm and gentle. And if you go towards the cages of the lions and tigers, you find them restless, showing how much difference has been made by food. All the forces that are working in this body have been produced out of food. We see that every day. If you begin to fast, first your body will get weak, the physical forces will suffer, then after a few days the mental forces will suffer also. First, memory will fail. Then comes a point when you are not able to think, much less to pursue any course of reasoning. We have therefore to take care what sort of food we eat at the beginning, and when we have got strength enough, when our practice is well advanced, we need not be so careful in this respect. While the plant is growing, it must be hedged around, lest it be injured. But when it comes a tree, the hedges are taken away. It is strong enough to withstand all assaults. A yogi must avoid the two extremes of luxury and austerity. He must not fast nor torture his flesh. He who does so, says the Gita, cannot be a yogi. He who fasts, he who keeps awake, he who sleeps much, he who works too much, he who does no work, none of these can be a yogi.